Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review to Everton's 2-1 victory away from home against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park last Saturday. What a win for Everton Football Club. What a weekend for Everton Football Club. Another victory in the Premier League. Another away win. Very, very difficult one this. We knew it was going to be a tough game. We spoke in the preview about how tough this game would be. Getting back to the top of the table. We were there for all of Saturday, only knocked out of it because Manchester City are absolutely woeful, still joint top. So what do we do as Evertonians? We think, you know what, we're just going to go and get top of the charts instead and knock Miley Cyrus off and absolutely embarrass her and make her all her fans proper fuming. It was an absolutely fantastic weekend, and the last 24 hours for an Evertonian has been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. You know, obviously the victory was fantastic, still unbeaten, 3 wins out of 3 in the Premier League, 5 out of 5 altogether. And like I said, getting to the top of the iTunes chart with Spirit of the Blues was just absolutely unbelievable. Everybody's got it on full blast. Every video you see has got the song dubbed over it. And you know what? I haven't seen one yet where I've thought that doesn't work or that's not very good. Every single video is just absolutely unbelievable. It's boss. All the radio stations, all the top radio journalists are absolutely fuming because Everton have taken over the world once again. Miley Cyrus fans are absolutely livid because she hasn't been at the top of the chart since 1942, and this was her biggest opportunity, and the Toffees have come steamrolling in and gone, see you later, love. If there's a table, we're topping it, we're getting right to the top and we're staying there. What a boss weekend it's been for Evertonians. Obviously it is the Crystal Palace review. We are going to talk about the game in a lot of detail today. I dare say we'll go into talking about Spirit of the Blues as well. Listen, I'd love to sit here and go into a mad rendition and just sit here and sing the entire song, but I've just got this horrible feeling that I'll get a copyright strike and the whole video will just get taken down. So I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments blasting the lyrics in. I'm not going to sing it because I don't want to get in trouble, but rest assured I have been singing it non-stop, whether it be in my head or out loud, for pretty much the last 24 hours or so, to the point where I think everybody in work was absolutely fuming with me because I've just spent 8 hours singing the song or watching videos of the song being dubbed over. So we are going to talk about the Crystal Palace win today. Another fantastic win for Everton Football Club. Of course, like we said, going into this game, we knew it was going to be difficult, we knew it was going to be physical, we knew it was going to be tough, and we knew we were going to have to dig deep and work hard and fight for this win. For me, this was our toughest fixture so far this season. And on paper, you probably wouldn't think that'd be the case. Obviously, going away to Tottenham Hotspur on the opening game of the season, you'd probably think, oh, that'd be your toughest game, but it wasn't. It was quite easy. We pretty much walked through that game. Tottenham didn't pose much of a threat. We were comfortable on the ball. We were great on the ball. We created a lot of opportunities. The West Brom game, of course, we had a couple of little scares, allowing them to get back into the game and obviously get into the game with their initial goal. But ultimately, we consoled large parts of it. We come back into it. We consoled that this was the game that was always going to be a test for us. It was going to be a test in terms of being able to step up and physically, go match to match with the team and come out the other end with the 3 points. And that was what was really, really impressive on Saturday. I think we spoke about it in the preview and we said, listen, for me, ultimately, if we win this game, I think I said if we win this game, it'll be the most impressive victory so far this season. Okay, the Spurs game was fantastic and that was massively impressive, but the way Spurs turned up, they didn't really look like they wanted anything. We knew this was going to be a test and we knew we were going to have to fight, and we did. We fought hard and we come out with the win. It's not an easy ground to go to. They were a team in very, very good form. 2 wins, they're front line firing on all cylinders. Zaha had a fantastic season so far. Seamus Coleman, absolutely you didn't even think he was on the pitch for most of the game because Seamus Coleman just nullified his game completely. Townsend again, very similarly. Ayew as well. They've got a tough midfield. McCarthy, who of course, James McCarthy we know as Evertonians, but we just completely nullified them. And yes, okay, they had their fair chances of opportunities, and I wouldn't say it was a comfortable win, but that win for me on Saturday was as satisfying as a victory where you go out and, blather a team 5 or 6-0. Look, it's boss sitting here on a Monday and talking about Everton after we've, battered the team 5 or 6-0, and we're sitting here and saying this was boss, the passing was amazing, it was perfect, we created 50 opportunities and we took most of them, we were brilliant. But for me, as a football fan, and understanding that football isn't just a game where you go out every week and you beat teams comfortably. Football is a game that if you want to win titles, if you want to win cups, you have to be prepared to go into games and dig hard and fight and come out, with only winning by 1 goal, getting a penalty, which some people might deem as lucky. Obviously, we'll talk about the penalty, but coming out with the win nevertheless in those hard fixtures. And that was what this was about for me. It was about going there on Saturday and coming out with the win, even though we were going to have to stand up and we were going to have to fight for it, and it wasn't going to be easy. And that's exactly what we done. Again, like I said, Crystal Palace, put a good account of themselves. It wasn't an easy game for Everton. It wasn't the best performance. It wasn't the most satisfying performance, like I said, but again, it was a fantastic result. Not a lot of teams would have been able to go to Crystal Palace at this point in the season with the form they're on and get 3 points. You see Manchester United, who all of the pundits seem to think is still a Premier League challenging side. I don't know where they're getting that from because they're absolutely woeful, but they went, Crystal Palace went to Old Trafford and absolutely embarrassed them last week. So it was always going to be a tough fixture, and we turned up and we dug deep and we come away with the win, which was obviously what was, the most important. We showed a lot of fight, we showed a lot of character. Obviously, we showed a lot of fight to get back into the game after conceding, the equaliser. Fantastic opening goal by Calvert-Lewin. And, obviously, like I said, we got the penalty, and we'll go into talking about the penalty situation. Personally, for me, look, I think Everton should have had 2 penalties in this game, and I don't really want to sit here and talk for 20 minutes, half an hour about whether it's a penalty or whether it's not a penalty or what's right and what's wrong, because ultimately, let's just have this straight now. Whether you agree, there's 2 ways you look at this conversation. For me, you look at it with one way saying, right, this is the rule, and was this a penalty based on the rule? Yes. And then the other side is, do I agree with the rule? You'd struggle to find anybody out there that would say that, according to the rule, Everton shouldn't have had that penalty on Saturday. In fact, we should have had 2 penalties on Saturday. Whether you agree with the rule or not is immaterial at this moment. It's completely irrelevant in this situation. I'm not particularly the biggest fan of the rule. I do want to talk about it, though, later on in the live stream, because I think it makes everything a little bit more clear. And look, it's Boss sitting here saying, oh yeah, I don't mind the rule because we got a penalty and ultimately won the game based off it. I was thinking this, I was walking to get me dinner today and work, and I thought, there's been a lot of uproar on social media about the penalty rule. There's been a lot of uproar from pundits, etc., about other situations as well, not just the Everton game. It happened in the Spurs game yesterday, and a lot of them are talking about how it's ridiculous, it's stupid and it's a stupid rule. And I thought, well, you know what? We're obviously all going to sit here now and say, it was Boss because we got a penalty from it and we won the game, so yeah, whatever. But, I was thinking, if we were in the last minute of a Merseyside derby at Everton, we're winning 1-0, and in the 96th minute, with a game that's only had 4 minutes added on, the ball skims off Luca Dean's fingernails and they get a penalty for it, we'd all be sitting here fuming, saying the rule's a disgrace, the rule's a joke. So you'd have to look at it in 2 ways. You'd have to think, what is the rule? And, did we receive the penalty because of the rule, and do I agree with that? And we did, and for me, we should have had 2 penalties in the game. Obviously the pundits weren't bothered about Crystal Palace's penalty against Manchester United last week. Not much mentioned about that. They weren't bothered about Manchester United getting a penalty after the final whistle had been blown. Weren't bothered about that. Weren't bothered about the Spurs game yesterday. It was only the Everton game that they seem to really be interested with. But like I said, again, we'll talk briefly about that when we get to it. But I don't really want to sit here and go on a massive rant, because ultimately, again, for me, look, it's the rule. If you don't like the rules, you go to whoever makes them. You don't, again, the rule book says if it comes off your arm in any circumstance and it hasn't hit any other part of your body, it's a penalty, and in that case it was a penalty. Probably should have had 2. For me, the first situation is more of a penalty than the second situation, but there you go. Big thanks to everybody for getting in the live comments. We will get into the live comments shortly, don't you worry. Really do appreciate it. If you are watching the live stream, please do share it. Let's get it all over social media. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. Like I said, we will go through all of the live comments today, so let me know how you are doing in the comments. Share the stream as well. Let's try and get as many people. I think I've just said that. If you are enjoying, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. What a win that was for Everton, though. What an absolutely fantastic win. And we started really positively. Look, it was a scrappy game. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt myself. Zcars is now 4th on the iTunes charts, while Spirit of the Blues is still at number 1. So go out there. If you haven't bought it, I think Zcars is like 79p. If you haven't bought Spirit of the Blues, get that, because it's literally less than £1. And the longer we can stay top of the charts, just the better it'll be. It'll just be hilarious to hear Everton played all over national radios because we're top of the charts. Zcars is currently 4th, so if you haven't got that, let's go and get that to 2nd as well and just completely wipe Miley Cyrus out the equation. Harry Styles has already gone. Bieber's sitting there crying. VAR trying to get Maroon 5 in there, but it's not having none of it. But like I said, we started again. It was positive. It wasn't the free-flowing football that we may have become accustomed to over the last couple of weeks or so, but we knew that it was going to be difficult. It was scrappy. We had to fight for every ball. The passing was a little bit off. There was a couple of opportunities where we had the ball and we gave it away a little bit too easily. But Crystal Palace were doing the same. They were picking the ball up and giving it away to us quite easily. And we knew that this game was always going to be a game of fighting in the middle of the park and battling in the midfield, and then, you know, making as much as you possibly can with the opportunities that you have going forward. And we've done that, early on in the first half. Obviously, like I said, I feel like we've become, as a fan base, we've become accustomed to sitting there now over the last couple of weeks and thinking, we're going to absolutely rip them to bits, we're going to pass it round and we're going to, break down the wing, this, that and the other. But it wasn't like that. It was difficult, it was scrappy, It wasn't the free-flowing football, like I mentioned, that we saw against Tottenham and that we saw for the majority of the game against West Brom. But nevertheless, we go 1-0 up again. Like I said, we have the first clear opportunity of the day. Seamus Coleman, I believe, has got it down the right-hand side, passes it in to James Rodriguez, and James Rodriguez plays an absolutely world-class pass. He's not even looking at the pass. He plays a world-class pass through the box. To be fair to Seamus Coleman, he controls it perfectly, and he keeps his strength and he shoulders his man off to make sure that his man doesn't get anywhere near the ball, plays it across the box, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin's there for the cool finish. And it was a fantastic finish by Dom, to be fair. First time, yes, he was only 15-20 yards out, but he gets it on target and he puts enough power on it to make sure that the goalkeeper doesn't stand a chance. If you're a Palace fan, you may be a little bit upset with the goalkeeper, but I'm not really bothered, because for me, it was the type of goal that we need to score more of. Quick play down the middle and putting the ball into the box for the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison to get on the end of and tap it away. And all of a sudden, we go 1-0 up, and you're thinking, right, brilliant, it's been scrappy, it hasn't been easy, it's going to be difficult for the remainder of the game, but we've got that decisive first goal. And there was that hope that Crystal Palace had sort of dropped their heads a little bit and we'd be able to make the most of that. But they didn't, to be fair to them. They continued fighting, they continued battling, and we continued to match that. I seen a tweet after the game on Saturday night saying that last season we wouldn't have won that game, and I don't think I'd seen a tweet at that point that was that spot on. We would not have won that game last season. It's simple. We did not have the midfield to win that game. We did not have the midfield that wanted to battle. We didn't have a midfield that wanted to fight. We didn't have a midfield that wanted to get the socks dirty, that wanted to throw themselves into every challenge, that wanted to make sure they come out with the ball, that wanted to make sure that if they didn't come out with the ball, the opponent didn't come out with the ball either. We would have been overturned by their physicality in the midfield, and they would have thus created more chances from that and probably gone on to win that game. Last season, we simply didn't have the backbone in the midfield to win that game of football. But this feels like a completely new Everton side. The three signings that Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands have brought in have done absolute wonders to our football club. And I know they've brought, Niels Nkunku in as well, and he's done absolute wonders, to be fair, obviously when he's come in and played in the Carabao Cup fixtures. But in regards to the Premier League side, in regards to the players that we're seeing week in, week out in the Premier League, compare that midfield performance on Saturday to ones that we were seeing last season. Compare the battle, compare the fight, compare the energy that we saw in just a normal game of football away to Crystal Palace to the midfield performances of last season, where we were seeing players, again, in those type of games, just not want the battle, just not want the energy. And I don't necessarily blame, I don't want to sit here and blame the players and go into saying, oh, those players were awful, those players were dreadful, but they weren't accustomed and suited to that role. Gylfi Sigurdsson isn't accustomed to throwing himself in and getting his socks dirty and battling and fighting for 90 minutes. He's not that type of player. Andre Gomes isn't really that type of player on his own. But when you've got the likes of Allen, when you've got the likes of Abdoulaye Doucouré around them, everybody wants to battle, everybody wants to fight for each other, everybody wants to get involved. And we had to do a lot of that on Saturday, and we did do a lot of that. And look, ultimately, we allowed Crystal Palace back into the game, about 5-10 minutes later, something like that, 15 minutes later. After we scored the opener, Crystal Palace go up the other end. They have a corner initially, they have a corner, they play it in and nothing gets made of it, but you're sort of thinking that would have been a good opportunity if a Crystal Palace player had been a little bit more switched on for them to score. So we need to be more switched on here. We can't be letting balls just fly into the box with nobody really tracking them. They get another corner straight away. What happens? A ball flies into the box. Michael Keane and Richarlison go for the same ball. It goes over Michael Keane's head. Richarlison actually leaves the position on the goal line, where if he would have stayed, he would have just headed the header. He'd have headed the header that come off Kouyaté and it'd have gone over the bar. But he doesn't. He moves towards the ball. He gets attracted towards the ball. It goes over his head, and Kouyaté, who doesn't move in this entire sequence, just stays stood, jumps up, climbs up. And to be fair, it's a really, really good header. He heads it into the back of the net. And I've seen a bit of criticism for for Jordan Pickford on Saturday night and Sunday morning about whether or not he should have done better for the goal. Look, We can all sit here and be hypercritical of Jordan Pickford. We can all sit here and pick faults in every goal that we concede and talk about how he should do better. Could he have potentially have done better for that goal on Saturday? Probably yes, because it is aimed at him, and it looks on first glance and on the replay and on the slow-mos like it completely goes through him. But one thing we have to take into consideration is that ball is headed at such a might, at such a pace from about 10 yards out. And again, could he have done better? Probably. But for me, the main fault in that goal was the fact that two players went for the ball and both missed them and allowed the attacker to get on the end of it. Now, I don't want to sit here and massively criticise Michael Keane, because I thought Michael Keane played really, really well for the most part on Saturday. Same with Richarlison, scored the winning goal and was brilliant, battled for every ball, worked his bollocks off for the entire game pretty much. So I don't want to sit here and criticise Keane and Richarlison and say, oh, they should have done better, it wasn't great, and ultimately they should have done better. But for me, we can all sit here and be hypercritical of Crystal Palace. Hypercritical of Jordan Pickford, and we can be, and I understand that because of the criticism he's come under recently, and he probably felt he should have done better with that. But ultimately, it wasn't a Jordan Pickford mistake. Adamski says harsh on Pickford to blame him, to say that would have been exceptional, and he isn't an exceptional keeper. I think I said it in my instant match reaction. Are our expectations for Jordan Pickford just slightly too much? Are we mistaking a good goalkeeper for a world-class goalkeeper? Are we thinking that Jordan Pickford is one of the best in world football? Because let's be honest, he's not. Is he a good goalkeeper? For me, yes. On his day, he's a really good goalkeeper. But again, Adamski says only a world-class goalkeeper had saved that, and he isn't only an exceptional goalkeeper. I can't think of a goalkeeper in the Premier League that would have saved that, and I can't think of a goalkeeper in the Premier League that would have being open to saying, yes, okay, that was my fault, because ultimately the defender should have dealt with it, whether it be Michael Keane not stepping forward and allowing it to go over his head, or whether it be Richarlison either staying on the line or coming out and absolutely emptying it if he is going to come out. So I don't want to sit here and criticise Jordan Pickford or criticise either Richarlison or Michael Keane, because they both played really, really well. But ultimately it was a sloppy goal to concede. It was another set-piece goal, and it was something that we should have dealt with better. But it goes to 1-1, and again, there's another physical battle. We take it to half time. It's not the worst performance. We need to probably step it up. It's not the best half, to be honest. But again, like I said, we weren't as comfortable as we would have liked to have been. I don't want to say we struggled, but it wasn't like what we'd seen against Tottenham. It wasn't like what we'd seen against West Brom. But that was understandable, because we were playing a side that were also in very, very good form, unlike the previous two, and fancied themselves at home. And it was a big, big game for Crystal Palace as well. So anyway, obviously we come out in the second half, and again, it's continuously battling. Crystal Palace have their fair of opportunities in terms of going forward and trying to create. Again, I'd probably say at that point in the game, Crystal Palace were looking the more dangerous, and we were looking the side that probably needed to make a couple of substitutions and freshen it up a little bit. I was never really overly panicked that we were going to concede, because I thought defensively we played really, really well on Saturday. I thought Seamus Coleman was absolutely exceptional. I thought Michael Keane, like I said, defensively was brilliant. I thought Yerry Mina done well, had a little bit of a mad moment where he throws his head on the floor and tries to hit a ball with his head, but other than that, I thought Yerry Mina played really, really well. I thought Lucas Dean was brilliant defensively again. Anything that Jordan Pickford really had to deal with, other than the goal, he dealt with. So I don't want to really sit here and say, I was panicking, I was fuming, I was worried at that time, because yes, Crystal Palace had an awful lot of the ball, but you sort of felt like at any point in the game Everton could break down the other side of the pitch and create something, and that's what having players like James Rodriguez, that's what having players like Richarlison, that's what having players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin firing on all cylinders do for your side. They make you believe that, okay, we might be under a little bit of pressure here, but we're not going to fold. We're not going to fold like we would have done in previous years. And when we sit here and when we sit here and we talk about these games and the win against Spurs and the win against West Brom and the win against Crystal Palace, and we say, we wouldn't have won that last year, it's not just based on us saying, we've got Carlo Ancelotti now and we didn't have Carlo Ancelotti previously, so we wouldn't have won these games. It's based on, things that we've seen in the past from Everton. It's based on the fact that how many times have we watched Everton be 1-0 up with 15 minutes to go in a big, big game and throw it away because we just couldn't handle the pressure? How many times have we seen Everton go away to a top 6 side? We've seen it numerous times against Liverpool in about the last 4 Merseyside derbies at Goodison. We should have won, but again, we didn't take our opportunities. Against Manchester United at Old Trafford a couple of years ago, Phil Jagielka scored in the 15th minute and we were 1-0 up until the 87th minute and we conceded because we could not handle the pressure. But we're not feeling like that anymore. When we're up, we're feeling confident. And yes, okay, Crystal Palace had their opportunities and they could have hurt us with them, but you're always feeling like at any point we can go up the other end and score, at any point we can go up the other end and create an opportunity, and there's those nerves have sort of been distilled, I think, certainly for me anyway. I don't know how everybody else feels. Let me know how you feel in the live comments. I will be getting in the live comments in just a moment. If you're all enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to share the stream as well. Let's try and get as many people involved as possible. But like I said, I just felt calm, collected, because I believed in the manager, I believed in the midfield, I believed in the defence, and I believed that we'd go out and get the win. So ultimately it's 1-1. Like I said, Crystal Palace are seeing a lot of the ball. They're probably being the most dangerous. They're getting forward, where I wouldn't say we're being overrun, but we're sort of struggling to keep up with the game a little bit. And again, completely out of, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, because we weren't that out of the game, but we get the ball, really good ball comes across, fantastic pass by James Rodriguez, an absolute world-class pass, sets Richarlison on his way, and this would have been the opportunity for Richarlison to put it 2-1, to make it 2-1, and for us to completely kill all of the momentum that Crystal Palace had, and all of the confidence that Crystal Palace had. Richarlison just gets the ball mixed up in his feet a little bit, and he doesn't quite get full control of it. He ends up sort of having to bring it wide a little bit unnecessarily, because he doesn't quite get full control of it. And then ultimately he takes it wide, he gets the ball to the byline, and he tries to cut it in. And for me, this is where the first handball situation appears, where Richarlison gets the ball, he puts it into the box, and it strikes the arm of a Crystal Palace defender. Now VAR looked at this and deemed that this wasn't a penalty. Deemed that, I don't even know what they deemed, because I was under the understanding that the rule is that if it comes off the arm of a player, whether accidental or not, and it hasn't hit another body part and ricocheted, then it's a penalty. But that come off the arm of a player, didn't hit another body part or ricocheted, and again, doesn't really matter whether it was accidental, but they still didn't give it. So I was a little bit confused at that point. Would it have been harsh? Yes, it would have been extremely harsh, but the rule is extremely harsh. Anyway, Richarlison hits it. For me, this is more of a blatant one than the one we actually got. Like I said, I actually think the Crystal Palace defender is quite clever in this situation, because I actually think he moves his body towards it and it hits his arm and goes out. Now for me, that stops the ball from going into the box, into a dangerous area where Dominic Calvert-Lewin or James Rodriguez or Alan or Decore or anybody else for that matter could have been on the end of it to tap it in. That stops the ball from that movement, and like I said, accidental or not, it stops the ball from going into the box, and I actually do think he moves towards it. Adam Key says, I think they judged it to be his shoulder, not his arm. I don't know how, because I don't know, I'd have to watch it again, but I've watched it a couple of times, and for me, it blatantly comes off his arm from ear to ear. Anyway, they don't deem it as a penalty, and like I said, for me, I was on Twitter saying that's a penalty for me. Whether you agree with the rule or not, the rule states that should have been a penalty. They don't give it. Again, we're battling. We're still fighting in the midfield. We're still fighting for every ball, picking it up. Crystal Palace are again having their fair share. It was an even game at this point. It was an even game. It was a difficult battle. And again, another really good ball comes over the top. Lucas Dean heads it onto the hand of a Crystal Palace defender, and this time it's VAR. And I think it's Kevin Friend who was the on-field referee, goes over to the monitor, blows up and gives it as a penalty. Now, this one for me, I actually think is a little bit harsher than the previous one. But I'm sort of sitting there thinking, well, if that's a penalty, then how isn't the first one a penalty? If he wouldn't have given the second one, I'd have sat here and gone, well, I don't really know the rule, but both of them would have been harsh to give, so I half understand why he hasn't given them. But if the rule says they should be a penalty, then they should be a penalty. But to give one and not the other, it makes no sense to me. I just think that for me, if you're going to give the second one, then surely the first one has to be given as well. He gives the second one. Obviously, Crystal Palace aren't very happy with it. I wouldn't be very happy with it either, to be honest, as if it had gone against Everton, because it's very unlucky. Like I said, it comes off the defender's arm. I think they judged it that his arm was more in an unnatural position in the first situation, which it was in an unnatural position, to be fair. Is it accidental? We'll never know. Probably, because he's not looking at the ball, he's not looking at his arm, and it touches his arm, and it does change the flight of the ball. It's given as a penalty. Like I said, for me, it's a penalty based on the rule. We'll talk about the rule in a second. Given a penalty, Richarlison steps up, does his little fancy run, slots it home, 2-1. And at this point in the game, there's 20 minutes to go. We're 2-1 up away from home. We know that it's just going to be constant pressure now by Crystal Palace. It's just going to be constantly thrown at us, and we have to deal with it, and we have to be able to soak it up. And for the remainder of the game, we fought, we battled, they got forward, they created opportunities, we bought, the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson on, Alex Iwobi come on, I think Tom Davies come on. We shored the game up, and ultimately we sorted it out, and it was a fantastic win. And again, like I mentioned, when we say we wouldn't have won those games last season, it's not because I'm just saying, or the season before, it's not because I'm just saying, oh, we've got Carlo and he's amazing and we wouldn't have won that game without Carlo, but we genuinely would not have been able to keep the backbone and keep the bollocks to see that game out at any other point, in the previous 5 or 6 years. We'd have absolutely bottled it in the last moment. But under Carlo Ancelotti, when we're winning 1-0, when we're winning 2-1 with 10, 15 minutes to go, I'm starting to sit there now, and touch wood that this continues, because I don't want to say it and then, it'd be a different situation on Wednesday against West Ham or on Saturday against Brighton. But I'm starting to sit there with 10 minutes to go thinking, nah, we've won this. This is comfortable. We're not going to give anything stupid up here. And that's because of the effect of Carlo Ancelotti. That's because of the effect of Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan, James Rodriguez, having players in there that are used to just seeing games out and not bottling it in the last 10 minutes. And that attitude and that mentality, and it is a mentality, Abdoulaye Doucouré had an interview with Everton today, and he said that, Evertonians haven't seen the best of him yet. He wasn't happy with his performance at Crystal Palace because he gave a couple of balls away. Thought he was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He chased back for every ball. He was on the toes of every Crystal Palace player. He broke his absolute bollocks to sprint half the length of the pitch to stop Wilfried Zaha from having an easy opportunity. But he still isn't impressed with his own performance. He didn't come out and say, we won and, it was a brilliant win. Well, he did come out and say we won and it was a brilliant win, but he didn't say, and everyone was unbelievable and I was fantastic, this, that, the other. He come out and said, yeah, it was great, but I could have been better. I wasn't too happy with myself. That's the type of mentality that you want to see. You want to see players coming out of a hard-fought, horrible game of footy with a win and saying, we should have made that easier for ourselves, and then going out the next week and making it easier for themselves. It was a brilliant win. Like I said, we'll go into some of the situations in a little bit more detail. I do want to talk about Abdoulaye Doucouré. I want to talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin again. Another goal for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Current highest goal scorer in the Premier League, and he is the highest goal scorer in the Premier League. You can piss off with your Jamie Vardy shout because he scored 4 penalties, and if Dominic Calvert-Lewin took penalties, he'd be the highest scorer by significant amount. So Jamie Vardy for the moment can sit on the floor because I'm not taking penalties into consideration. I want to talk about the defence as well, but we will get into the live comments. Big thanks to everybody for watching live. I honestly really do appreciate it. Massive thanks to everybody for watching as a video as well. If you're watching on YouTube, I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does only take a second. If you're watching now, if you could share the live stream, try and get as many people in here as possible, it would mean a massive amount to me. Eugene says Barcelona could lower their asking price. I assume that's for Jean-Claire Todibo. Yeah, we've had a little bit of an update on the centre-half situation, and that is that Everton is still trying to convince Chelsea to allow Fikayo Tomori to come on loan. However, Frank Lampard is quite comfortable with Tomori at the moment and wanting to keep him at the football club. Everton do have other options. Jean-Claire Todibo, who has been rumoured for a long time now, is one of those options. Everton have offered Barcelona a loan deal with a buy clause at the end of the loan for around €80 million. However, Barcelona are wanting to sell him on a permanent immediately so they can fund moves for other players. There's also a couple of other centre-halves on the list, but for me, realistically, if you were to tell me now Everton sign a centre-back, I'm probably saying it's more than likely going to be Jean-Claire Todibo. Eugene says Everton 1, Marley Cyrus 0. Fans get the Spirit of the Blues to the top of the iTunes chart. Yeah, look, like I've just mentioned before, Spirit of the Blues still number 1 on the iTunes chart. Come on, get down to Goodison Park. I'll let you all do the rest in the comments. But Z-Cars is currently, I think, number 5 or number 3 or something like that. So get Z-Cars to number 2 as well. I think they're like 79p. The album's like £7 if you just want to buy the album, but the songs are like 79p. It's literally less than what a can had cost you. It's less than what a portion of chips had cost you. And if anything, it just absolutely rattles the mainstream media and absolutely rattles Marley Cyrus fans, which is absolutely boss. So, yeah, brilliant stuff, of course. I'm sure we'll talk more about the song in the live stream. Wayne says Cam went to work today. Fair play. Dirty Leicester 2 weeks in a row. City shocker. False Prem favourites. City are dreadful defensively, mate. Absolutely dreadful. Manchester City, for me, I don't know who makes this, again, off topic, but briefly, I don't know who makes the signings for Manchester City. I don't know if it's Guardiola, I don't know if it's somebody else, but whoever it is, they won't sack him because they've just spent another 65 million on a centre-half and they haven't even got a striker. Aguero will play 12 games, and yes, he'll probably score you 15 goals, but he ain't going to win you the league. Gabriel Jesus ain't good enough to win you the league. Rory Delap's kid, Liam Delap, is the most un-Manchester City-like striker I've ever seen. Not saying he's not good, but he just doesn't suit their style. defensively, they're dreadful. Kyle Walker, I honestly reckon Kyle Walker could play in my Sunday league team and he'd be outshone by 90% of the lads. He's fucking shite. Wayne says Zuma returned not at Chelsea prices. I think that's just a rumour, to be honest with you, mate. I don't think Kurt Zuma's set for an Everton return. Like you mentioned, I don't think Everton would pay the fee that Chelsea had want. And I just think that ship sailed a little bit, to be honest. They had this opportunity last summer and he obviously didn't want to come. Carl says, good afternoon, Camo. We can afford to sign more players before we get rid of the unwanted ones. Yeah, I think we'll sign at least 2 more. I'm going for 3 more. One on a permanent transfer and 1 player on a 1 or 2 players on a loan move. I think we do need to bolster the squad a little bit. Obviously, you know, there's still that question about a right back and a right back coming in for cover for Seamus Coleman or a right-sided forward. But we've got a very good side at the moment. We just now need to make it a very good squad. God says Everton fans came in like a wrecking ball to knock Marley Cyrus off the number 1 spot. We did. Union says Everton's transfer business not over yet. Let's hope so, mate. Carl says hope so. Wayne says Keane, will he go or will he stay? I really don't know at the moment. I really don't know. Diego says, what about Spirit of the Blues? Brilliant, mate, innit? It's absolutely brilliant. Adamski says, nice to meet you, of course, Cameron. I'm Adam. Wayne says, where are you from, Adam? Adam is from Ormskirk. Diego, 1878 says, I reckon you just speak about the song for an hour. I'd love to, mate, but I've just got this horrible feeling I'm going to get copyright. I don't want to talk too much about Marley Cyrus either, because I think she'll come in with a horrible copyright claim as well. Dunring Ill says, hey Cam, it's Martin from Newfoundland, painting me fence while listening. Is right, Martin, really do appreciate that, mate. Man like Khalid says, come on. Wayne says, nah, you don't want to hear Cam sing. You've never heard him talk on point, haha, 100 mile an hour. I am trying to slow everything down. I realised at the instant match reaction, I spoke like one of those auctioneers, didn't I? I don't know if you've ever seen Storage Wars or anything like that. Adamski says, nice one for exposing me. Sorry, mate. Big place on Ormskirk. I don't know if you've ever seen Storage Wars or anything like that, where the auctioneer's just talking about 600 mile an hour. It's probably because I watched too much of that as a kid with my dad. That's why I just talk fast. But I am trying to slow it down. I am trying to be a little bit more cautious of it. Philip says, I reckon the club have bought thousands of iTunes gift cards to keep us in the news. They pulled off a blind, and if my guess is right, brilliant. I just think every Evertonian, to be honest, listen, it's boss, innit? It's just boss. Adamski says, just a reminder to slow down for all the Colombians as well. Yes, big thanks to all of, everybody that watches, whether you're from Colombia, whether you're from America, whether you're from Liverpool, whether you're from Ormskirk, Adam, whether you're from wherever you are in the world. A big thanks for watching. And I do promise that I will consciously make an effort to try and slow down in the future, certainly with the instant match reactions and stuff. But yeah, it just comes naturally. So I am trying to make the effort. Man like Khaled says, come on Everton. Eugene says, Everton in for Barcelona and Jean-Claude Todibo. John says, we're boss, we are boss. Man like Khaled says, come on Everton. Sam, what's happening, Sam? He says, up the fucking toffees. What is Cameron? What is, mate? If you're enjoying, by the way, please do leave a like. 60 people currently watching. If we could get that to 80, maybe even 100, that'd mean a massive amount. So if you could share on social media, get your friends involved, get your family involved. Let's get as many people. If you're watching as a YouTube video, really do appreciate your support as well. Philip says, Suda saying Liverpool are running away with it. What a knob. Well, let's see how they do today. Newton says, prediction for West Ham in the EFL Cup. I'm going for 4-0 Everton. Well, we'll see. We're going to do the preview to the West Ham game tomorrow, of course. Everton playing West Ham in the Carabao Cup 4th round on Wednesday. So we will do that game preview tomorrow live, 5:15 PM. So don't forget to join us for that one. Anyway, we'll get back into the game. Johnny says, what's up from San Diego, California, Toffees? We're doing it this year. Big up to you, Johnny. Love California, love San Diego. Brilliant place. Been a couple of times myself. We'll get back into the game then, and then we will get into the live comments, I do promise. So like I said, we held out and we won the game at the end of the day, and it was a hard work, fight and battle. Crystal Palace fans will probably feel aggrieved, but I do not care, because I'm not a Crystal Palace fan, and ultimately, at the end of the day, you aren't going to, I'm not saying we're going to win the Premier League, just saying, you won't find the Premier League side that wins every single game 4 or 5 or 6-0. Even teams that win the league without losing, you won't find a team in any country, in any league really, that wins, it wins every single game in a season 6 or 7-0. You'll find a lot of games are won in the last 10, 15 minutes in scrappy fashion, in games that they mightn't have deserved to win. Look at them lot, they won the league. 50% of the games they won when they didn't deserve to win, and it was scrappy, and they won via a penalty in the last minute. Not saying we didn't deserve to win on Saturday, but what I'm saying is we have to get used to being able to go into these scrappy, physical, hard games and fight, and come out the other end with a win. Because, it's brilliant, like I said, when we win 5 or 6-0, but I just think it's great seeing Everton win like we did on Saturday. Again, like we mentioned, Abdoulaye Doucouré before, I thought the entire midfield was brilliant on Saturday. Really, really fought hard. It wasn't the midfield performance that we saw against Spurs. It wasn't the midfield performance that we saw against Tottenham, because it wasn't an easy game. It wasn't a game where we were able to just pass the ball easily and, throw it from left to right and control it comfortably and play long distance passes at will for the entire game. It was a game where we had to fight, where there was, a lot of misplaced passes where it wasn't perfect, but it was a battle. And that's what bringing in players like Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan, James Rodriguez, having Andre Gomez next to them up in his game. That's what happens when you bring in, those players of that talent, and when everybody else sort of thinks, no, you know what, I can show a bit of fight here. If he's just come into the football club and he's been here 20 minutes and he can show a bit of fight, I can get involved and I can show a bit of fight. Gylfi Sigurdsson done it, come off the bench, was fighting for every ball, was getting his foot in to the ball, was challenging, was wanting to be involved, and that's what we love to see. And ultimately, like we mentioned, Abdoulaye Doucouré for me was absolutely outstanding. To hear him come out today on the official Everton website and say he wasn't massively impressed with his performance and he could do better, it was so refreshing, because that is the mentality that we want at this football club. That is what we want to hear from our players. We want to hear players come out and say, yeah, we played really, really well, and yes, we won the game, but I could have done an awful lot better, and I should have done an awful lot better. I give away 2 passes. I think Abdoulaye Doucouré gave away 2 or 3 passes in the game, and he recognised that. Like I said, for me, he was just fantastic all game. Really, really solid. Broke up the play brilliantly, as did Alan. Passing was, other than the couple that he misplaced, was pretty decent. He was playing the easy balls. He was bringing in James into the game. James was having to drop back at certain times, but he was bringing him into the game. We were making comfortable passes. And like I said, that challenge on Wilfried Zaha was absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. He belted it from pretty much half the length of the pitch, very similar to the one against Spurs a couple of weeks ago, where he made a last ditch tackle where if he wouldn't have made it, they'd have been through on goal and probably scored. Very similar situation on Saturday. He belted it from the one end of the pitch to the other, and he stopped Wilfried Zaha, and Wilfried Zaha was in a fantastic position, by the way, to either score himself or create an opportunity, and Abdoulaye Doucouré just completely cuts it out and kills the opportunity, and it just shows what a fantastic player he is, as well as the rest of the midfield. Again, James Rodriguez showing that in a game that probably doesn't suit his style, in a game that's a little bit scrappy. And I'm not saying that he can't scrap, because the lad can scrap much more than I thought he could scrap. He gets involved, he throws the tackles in, he throws the snared shoulders in. He's brilliant, he's absolutely brilliant. But in a game where he didn't have an awful lot of opportunities to play the brilliant balls and to control the game, because it was difficult for us, he still manages to come out with an absolute moment of quality and create an opportunity. Seamus Coleman, I want to talk about Seamus Coleman, because he definitely deserves a mention. And then after we talk about Seamus, we're going to talk about the penalty. Seamus Coleman, brilliant again. Absolutely brilliant again. Captain of Everton Football Club, played 3 Premier League games this season, and has been absolutely outstanding in each and every Premier League game. He had Wilfried Zaha in his pocket. In the space of 3 weeks, he's managed to keep Wilfried Zaha completely anonymous in the game. Heung-min Son and Lucas, and the firepower that Tottenham Hotspur have, managed to keep them completely quiet. And okay, struggled a little bit against Grady Diangana, but ultimately captained the side to come back from 1-0 down to win a game comfortably at home. He has been absolutely exceptional for all 3 games, showing that, and again, we spoke when Carlo Ancelotti come into the football club. We spoke about the effect that he has on players, and the effect that his words and his interviews and his motivational speeches have on players. And Carlo Ancelotti come out, and I always talk about this, and I will continue to talk about it until I can't talk about it anymore. Carlo Ancelotti come in, and within 2 weeks, he said to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you are one of the best strikers in European football at the moment, and if you continue and you improve and you add consistency, you're going to be one of the best in world football. And he still continuously says that to this day. He says to Dominic Calvert-Lewin in press conferences, and I dare say in private, if you continue to perform, you will be one of the best strikers on this planet. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has played 3 Premier League games this season. He scored 5 goals. He scored the winner on the opening day against Spurs. He scored a hat-trick against West Brom. He scored a really important goal yesterday. On Saturday against Crystal Palace. I think he's the highest goal scorer in Europe at the moment, or at least the joint highest goal scorer. Again, not counting Jamie Vardy, he scores penalties. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been given that motivation and being given that belief in himself by one of the best managers in world football. One of the best managers in world football come out at a time where Evertonians and football fans were still saying, oh, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a championship striker, he's not good enough, this, that, the other. Carlo Ancelotti come out and said, he's one of the best lads in Europe at the moment, this fella. Don't sleep on him, he's absolutely brilliant. He says it every week. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's improving every week, he's scoring every week, he's getting into those positions. Carlo Ancelotti come out last week, was asked about Seamus Coleman and said, I think Seamus can play until he's 40. He's brilliant when you've got a player like that. I think he come out in an interview very recently, don't quote me on this, but he said something along the lines of, I've managed many a world-class captains in my time as a manager, and Seamus Coleman's up there with the best. He is a fantastic captain, a fantastic player, and a fantastic individual. And Seamus Coleman, is it a coincidence that Seamus Coleman's being told all of this by a world-class manager, the only world-class manager he's worked under in his career, and he's put in 3 performances like he has? Carlo Ancelotti is breathing confidence into these players. He is telling these players, you're brilliant at the moment, you're playing fantastically well. Yes, we could improve, but you're dominating, you're playing really, really well. And they're going out and they're giving that confidence, they're showing that confidence on the pitch, and they're giving Carlo Ancelotti back. They're putting everything on the line, they're giving it 110%, they're leaving every ounce of sweat, every ounce of energy, every ounce of passion and fight they've got on that pitch, to the point where they're coming off knackered, they're coming off absolutely goosed, because they've given 150% for the manager, because the manager is instilled that belief and that confidence in them. Not previous managers who, the Everton players might have been going out thinking, can't really be asked giving it 110% here, I can't really be bothered. They're going out thinking, no, we want to fight for each other, we want to fight for those Evertonians, and we want to fight for Carlo Ancelotti, because he is putting all of the belief onto us, so we need to repay that. Seamus Coleman is a prime example again of a player that has just completely stepped it up recently. He was absolutely unbelievable once again on Saturday. So calm on the ball, defensively perfect, didn't put a foot wrong, going forward again. A fantastic assist for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal. Really, really good ball into the box and a fantastic assist. Like I said, he absolutely controlled Wilfried Zaha for the entire game. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Same vein as Dominic Calvert-Lewin again. Another goal on the score sheet once again, in the right place at the right time. He scored a hat-trick last week, and okay, one of them was an absolutely fantastic header. Sorry, just grabbing my water bottle. But 2 of them were scrappy chances where, the balls come into him, and the first one, it's a fantastic finish, don't get me wrong, but the balls come into him and he's backheeled it because he was in the right place at the right time. The second one, the fourth Everton goal, Dominic Calvert-Lewin second, the ball comes in from Richarlison, he slides in on the post. Now, for all Dominic Calvert-Lewin knows, that ball could have been going in, that effort from Richarlison could have been going in, but he doesn't care. He slides in at the back post because he wants the goal. He has got that greed now, he's got that, I want to score goals as a striker. Dominic Calvert-Lewin used to come off the pitch, and if Everton had won, he'd be happy with that. And I'm not saying that if he doesn't score and we win, he's not happy. But what I'm saying is he's now coming off the pitch, and if he hasn't scored, he's kicking himself. He's thinking, why haven't I scored? He's annoyed with himself. Same vein as what Richarlison is doing. He's made up that we're winning, but if he hasn't scored, he's coming off the pitch disappointed in himself. That is the mentality you want from your attackers. You want your attackers to come off the pitch, and if they haven't scored, think, yeah, boss, we won, but I need to score. You want your attackers to be sliding in on the back post and making sure that ball goes in. You want that from Richarlison, you want that from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and that is what we're seeing at the moment. And again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a really, really good finish. And again, he showed that he's got that. Richarlison stepping up for the penalty. I want a goal. Scored 2 fantastic goals against Fleetwood Town midweek. Steps up on Saturday. I want to take this penalty. I want to score. Blasts it top bins. Brilliant penalty. Wins us the game. Instilling all of that confidence, all of that belief into himself. He's underway now in the Premier League, 1 goal in the Premier League. Expect Richarlison to absolutely fly this season, certainly. We've seen Dominic Calvert-Lewin benefit from the quality of James Rodriguez and, Andre Gomez, who's played brilliantly, and obviously Gylfi Sigurdsson, who's come in when he's needed to and played fantastically. Expect Richarlison to benefit in exactly the same manner. he has been fantastic so far. The work rate, the effort, and that's what you get from Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. They'll come off the pitch kicking themselves if they haven't scored, but you'll never be able to say, oh, they just spent the whole game with their head down there fuming because they haven't scored. You'll always say they've worked their absolute bollocks off. They've worked for the team. They've created opportunities. They've thrown themselves into every challenge. They're frustrated with themselves because they haven't scored, but they've still left 110% on the pitch. And that is exactly what you want from your attackers. It's exactly what you want from any player at the club, but it's certainly your attackers. I'll get back into the live comments then, and then I do want to talk about the penalty decision briefly because, you know, again, we have to talk about it. When are we then? John says, about time we got a pen. Through VAR, Liverpool have got both, and nobody would bat an eyelid. You're spot on. Hayes there says, anyone seen the Gerrard dance the spirit of the Blues? I've seen it before, mate. It is quite funny. Adam G says, I reckon 1-1. Everton 5-4 on penalties. I really do hope it doesn't go to penalties. I don't think I could cope with it going to penalties on Wednesday. Whammy says, hey everyone, Cam lad, how's everyone doing? I'm not too bad. Alejandro says, remember West Ham won 4-0 against Wolves? Going to be a hard match. It will be, mate. It will be. Whammy says, Peverton, haha, makes a nice change from no pens, does. Philip says, doing good, Remy. Adamski says, first one isn't a pen for me, it's above the sleeve. Fair enough. I'll have to watch it again. Tuesday says, apparently Chelsea won 40 million for Zuma. Whammy says, I do think it's a nonsense you get a penalty, but I also think you can't let the likes of Ward and Dyer just run around arm blocking opportunities. Or will you spot on? And that's what we're going to talk about in a moment, actually, is the rule itself. I was going to do a separate video on it, but obviously it's prominent with this game, so we'll talk about it in the preview. Ethan Elliott says, how many changes for Wednesday against West Ham, and who will play South Ham? I don't think we'll see a lot of changes, to be honest with you. I think we'll see a very strong side. Like I said, we're going to do the preview to the West Ham game tomorrow, so we'll have our predicted starting 11 and all of that good stuff. But I do think that we'll see a strong side. We may even see the likes of James Rodriguez for the first time in the EFL Cup. We may even see the likes of Allen as well. I think we'll put a strong side out because I think we'll want to go out there and win. And like Alejandro mentioned then, you know, West Ham put in a really impressive performance against Wolves yesterday, so it's not going to be the easiest fixture. Adam says, bits the 40 million for Zuma. I'd go for it. Marvel could work his magic with his fee. Marcel, yeah, I don't think we'd pay 40 million for him, no chance. Tufi says, nice to see James McCarthy again, even if he's on the opposite side. Yeah, love James McCarthy, nothing against him whatsoever. Brilliant player for Everton Football Club, but it was nice to see him fit and playing. Philip says he looked sharp as well, he did. Him says, Eric the Octopus knew what he was doing. Everton Botcher says, Cenk Tosun and Sandro looking good for selling. But Botcher says, is this a Prime video because of the intro? Premier. No, it's a live stream. It is a live stream. I can confirm it's a live stream. I've just managed to put the intro in live stream, so you'll be seeing that more often. Can't think of enough names. Gylfi was really good when he came on. Do you think Everton win the Premier League this season? I don't know, mate. I don't know. Adamski says live stream, mate. Can't think of a name. Says, remember when Gylfi got all the shit and Davis got the off the egg of the hook last season? Well, Gylfi's played really, really well, to be fair, when he's had to come in. I think Tom Davis has done okay as well. He hasn't massively impressed, not as much as Gylfi, but he's done okay. He's done what he needs to do. Everton Botcher says, I hate when Everton play Wolves and Crystal Palace. Well, hopefully we can change that. Philip says we have a real chance of winning. We do at the moment if we can keep up this form. Conding says, Iwobi gave the ball away every single time he had it, not good enough. Let's not talk too much about the negatives. Whammy says, are we getting a centre-back? For fuck's sake, I'm terrified when me and his trying to dolphin dive into people's feet. I think we'll get a centre-back before the end of the window. I do. He also says, good win though, contained Zaha. We certainly did. And Everton Botchers, I'm not even going to read that. It's about David Moyes not losing to Carlo Ancelotti because no one Everton. And when he says squad depth, please, you're spot on. We will get back into the live comments then before we finish up the live stream, but I want to talk about the penalty situation because I think it's important to talk about the penalty situation, of course. Everton getting the penalty. Controversially, yes. Am I arsed? No, because we won the game from it and it was a penalty in my eyes. Look, like I mentioned, you have to... I think when we talk about the penalty rule, not the penalty rule, the handball rule, sorry, I've got the hiccups. I think when we talk about the handball rule, we have to be able to split it, we have to be able to split it into two separate sort of situations. Do we agree with it? And what is the rule, sorry, and do we agree with it or not? The rule is that I believe that if it comes off any part of the hand or arm, under the sleeve, whether accidental or not, and it hasn't ricocheted off another part of the body, then it is a penalty. Do you agree with that or not? That's put to the side. One thing I will say, for me, that is a positive of this rule, and the offside rule to an extension, is that it does not allow a referee to interpret what is a handball and what isn't a handball. Now, I don't want to sit here and go into referees for 10 minutes because it worked in our favour. So ultimately, I don't really care. We got the penalty. We won the game. Boss. Will it go against us at some point in the season? Probably. Will it be in the last minute of a Merseyside derby in which we're winning? Probably. But ultimately, it went for us. Personally, for me, the only thing we're changing this rule is how would you change it? If you say, okay, you know, the ball, if the ball hits your arm but it's deemed accidental, it's not a penalty. Or if it hits your arm and it's deemed that you weren't looking, it's not a penalty. Where do you draw the line on that? How do you know if it's not accidental? How do you know a player hasn't jumped in the air and thought, I'm going to throw my arm up here, I'll look the other way so it doesn't look like I'm doing it on purpose, but I'll hope that if it doesn't hit any part of my body, it'll at least hit my arm. Where do we stop this? Again, these referees in this league have already proven that when they are given opportunities to interpret things, they either mostly get it wrong or they give certain teams more slice of the cake than they give other teams, shall we say. They give certain situations to your Uniteds or your Liverpools or your Chelseas, and other sides like Everton and the like don't get them. So leaving the handball situation, leaving the offside situation to interpretation is only allowing referees to make their mark on the game and to change the outcome of games of football. For me. And this rule, at the very, very least, whether you'll agree with it or not, it doesn't allow referees to change the outcome of football games because it's very, very plain and simple. If it strikes your arm and it hasn't hit any other part of your body, it is a penalty. Is it ridiculous? Yes, because it means that it's going to strike the fingertips of players purely accidentally, and the penalties are going to be given away left, right and centre. I was speaking to my dad about it today and he made a really, really good point. He said that, obviously football fans aren't allowed in stadiums at the moment, and every single game at the moment is being broadcasted on either Sky or BT or Amazon. And, there's been about 3 billion goals already in the three fixtures that we've had so far, or 30 fixtures, whatever it's been for every team. There's been something like 28 penalties. If we carry on in this vein, there'll be something like 300 penalties at the end of the season. My dad said, is it a coincidence that we can't go to football matches? We can only watch it on the telly, so football is automatically becoming more entertaining because there's more penalties and there's more decisions and there's more goals. It's well easier to turn a football match off if you're at home and it's 0-0 and you think I can't be arsed with this than it is if you're at the ground watching and it's 0-0. You're not going to leave, are you? For me, I don't leave anyway, but even if it's, if you are a fan that does leave, you're probably only leaving if your side's 6-0 down or something like that. You're not leaving at 0-0. Whereas if you're watching at the telly and you're bored and it's not your team, you probably go, fuck it, I'm putting Storage Wars on here, or I'm putting Bake Off, because this is awful. So, is it a coincidence that football is now becoming more entertaining now that we're having to watch every game on Sky and BT and Amazon? I don't know, but a lot more penalties are being given. Do I agree with the rule? You know what? I agree with having rules that are plain and simple that referees cannot hide and cannot interpret themselves, because I think referees have proven multiple times over the years that they can't interpret the rules because they either stitch teams up through, dare we say, corruption, or they're just not capable of making the right decision. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Look, I'm not going to talk too much about it because it went in Everton's favour and we won the game from it, and ultimately I'm happy days, we won the game. It went in Everton's favour, and will it go against us at some point this season? Probably, because it's Everton, and there'll probably only be a couple of teams, specifically one team, and I'll let you figure out who that is, that won't have a penalty like that goes against them this season, but it won't be Everton. And will we all be fuming and will we all be ripping the handball rule when it happens? Yes. Football is a very fickle sport. Football fans, myself, everybody, we contradict ourselves constantly. We're constantly being hypocrites. One week we say this is brilliant, the next week we say it's awful. One week we say he's brilliant, the next week we say it's awful. This has worked for us. Do I agree with it? I think it's a bit stringent, I think it's a bit strict, but ultimately for me, we don't have the referees in this country to allow interpretation. And if that's the case, it has to be strict. Is it silly? Yeah. Does it matter? That's the rule. And, like I said, Tottenham Hotspur got a penalty given against them and they weren't happy. They'll probably get one given for them in a couple of weeks, and Jose Mourinho won't be saying anything about it. Crystal Palace got one for them against Manchester United. Roy Hodgson wasn't coming out and saying anything, but he had something to say after the game on Saturday. So, there you go. That's my brief thoughts on the penalty situation. Like I said, it went in Everton's favour, so I don't want to sit here and rip the rule to bits because we won the game. But yeah, we'll get into a couple of more live comments then, and then I will have to dart, unfortunately. because I'm sure you know, if you've seen on Twitter, recently got a little puppy, 8-week-old Shar-Pei called Luna, and I've been in work all day, so I haven't seen it all day, so I'm going to have to dart down and see her. I hope you can forgive me. Blue Boys Network, what's happening? Michael John, don't know which one it is, but he says, yes, Cam, smashing it, brother, love you, thank you very much, mate, really do appreciate that one. Big ups to coming in. Toothy says, Eze looks a good sign, and he certainly does. Sample says, almost every handball is accidental, fair enough. Eugene says, if you click the like button, thank you very much. Big thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments, really do appreciate it. Toothy says, Decore has just been called up to play for Mali next month for the first time. Up until now, he started, his desire was to play for France. I thought he had played for France. Can't think of a name. Says, we're going to win the league. Cam, I want to hear you say it. We're going to win the league, mate. Touch wood. Wayne says, you know what? I don't know why I've just said that, because God forbid we lose to Brighton or whoever next week. Everyone's going to be on my, you fucking jinxed it. It's your fault. Wayne says, League Cup winners, third in the Prem, and semi-final of the FA Cup will take that. You know what, I'll take that as well, mate. I'll take that all day. I'll take that all day long. Goodison Sparks says, we are still top. It's great to see the team playing for the manager and the badge. We are finally seeing the Everton team we have called for decades. You're spot on. Wayne says, think we'll sell anyone. Many Klingons like Balassi don't want to leave. Peter says, has anyone won? Then Alan Ball trainers. I didn't manage to pick a pair up. Eugene's talking about Godfrey, who is the young defender for Norwich we have been linked with heavily over the last day or so. Toothy says, Carlo has us as one of the best teams in the league right now with just 3 signings. Chelsea started their 3 new players against West Brom. Didn't work out for them exactly. Wayne's a centre-back and goalkeeper. Worry me, could probably do with one more rapid goal-scoring winger. Paul's question is, what do we prioritise now, Carabao Cup or League? Both, mate. Both for me. Well, ultimately, we need to win a cup. We're a club that needs to win a cup competition. But why do we have to throw the league? Philip says, yes, Wayne, come on, Arsenal. Wormy says, Richie's pen doesn't count, though, does it, Cam? Richie's pen counts. Vardy's pens don't count, but Richie's pen counts. Man like Khaled, like I said, I'm a hypocrite. That's what football fans are. Adamski says, finish high, use the money to improve our depth for the Europa League. Apparently the college never been part of the France team, only the under-23s and under-21s. There you go. Bill to Be Channel says, you are amazing, mate. Thank you very much, mate. Really do appreciate that one. Tough Tune Record says, Carlo is the best manager on the best man manager on the planet, and he has a plan A, plan B, plan C, different breed. You're spot on. Philip says he'd have Carlo's baby. Is LCFC boy, what's happening, mate? He says, hi, Ant, how you doing? Confused me words, totally. Can't think of a name. Says, Carlo Ancelotti isn't one of the best managers in the world. He is the best manager in the world. There you go, he is. Wayne says, salute Coleman, to be fair, upped his game this season. He certainly has. Johnny says, at what point do you think Carlo should start bringing the 13 players in the Carabao Cup? I think it'll be on Wednesday, to be honest with you, Johnny. Wayne says, I think you're talking fast might be down to having to read the comments out fast. Maybe. Wayne talking about Wolves there. Wayne says DCL misses too many chances and not taking pens, he won't be top scorer. I think Salah will win it. Listen, well, maybe he should grab the pens then. Maybe he should say, I want the pens. And Tuthi says, Carlo could have used Holgate at any CDM, any point post-lockdown, and he didn't. Well, he didn't, but that's because Holgate was so important defensively at centre-back, so, you know, I suppose he didn't want to change that. Man like Callum says, Everton to win the league. Anyway, we'll finish it up there then. If you have enjoyed the live stream, please do hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. What a win for Everton Football Club. A fantastic win once again. Big thanks to everybody for getting involved. 75 people watching live again. Those numbers are absolutely unbelievable. We're flying towards 3,000 subscribers as well. We're nearly on 2,800, so if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It does mean a great deal to me. Big thanks to everybody for watching in the live comments. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. If you are watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to get involved with as many of those as possible. Big thanks for watching. Please do hit that like button. Like I said, I really do appreciate it. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. I couldn't quite get through all of them, but I got through the majority of them, so big thanks. We will be live again tomorrow, 5:15, for the live game preview to our Carabao Cup 4th round fixture against West Ham United. Going to be a tough game, this. I do think that Carlo Ancelotti will implement some of the first team players into this one, and I do think we'll see a stronger side. Joe says, sing Spirit of the Blues for us. I can't, because I'm just terrified that I'll get a mad copyright strike and they'll just absolutely wipe the channel. John says, Everton needs another solid centre-back. Liam's in there singing it. Wayne says, take care, guys. You back tomorrow, Cam, pre-game. Certainly am, mate, 5:15. Adam, she says, nice stream, Cam. See you tomorrow, mate. Big love, Adam. Really, really do appreciate that. Wayne says, peace, Blues. We'll be back on top next week. We certainly will, mate. Hopefully. Ewan says, see you about the top. You see you tomorrow. Wayne says, keep it up. I love the channel, Cam. Thank you very much, mate. Wayne says, or on a lunar expedition. Now, we will be live. I will also be seeing... I'm going to try and get Luna involved in one of the live streams because she's absolutely cute as anything, mate. So I do want to get her involved. Philip says, cheers all, and Adam says, up the effing toffees. Big thanks for watching. Listen, one more thing I want to say before I finish. If you haven't already, Spirit of the Blues, 79p. I think Zcars is 79p. Spirit of the Blues still number 1 on the iTunes chart. Go and play the absolute bollocks out of it. If you know, like I said, it costs less than a pack of nuts. Costs less than a pint of milk. Probably not. Probably a little bit more than a pint of milk, but not much. Let's keep Spirit of the Blues at number 1. Zcars, I think it's at number 3 or number 5 or something at the moment. Get that to number 2. Let's have Everton tunes just flooding the chart. Let's have Everton tunes from 30 years ago flooding the chart. And let's just make proper mad music fans absolutely fuming. It'll be absolutely boss. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. Really do appreciate it. It means a massive amount to me. Wayne says, nah, it has to be a copy to get in trouble. Oh, there you go then. Wayne says, come on you Blues, Everton until I die. Nil Satis and Izzy Optimum. Liam says, sing it. Maybe. I'm not going to sing it now. I've got a bit of a sore throat as well. Big thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. We're back tomorrow, 5:15. If you have enjoyed, please do leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues.